All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation YouTube station? We are back with another edition of the NBA show. It's your boy Ham. I'm back in the saddle on Friday night. Was out last Friday, but I'm back better than ever. Got my guy Hebrewcheetah filling in for Matt tonight. But Hebrewcheetah, hey, I was out last Friday. Appreciate you boys. I was on the couch recovering, but I listened to 90 minutes of you two guys talking ball back and forth. It was great to hear. We had a great show last Friday night. Appreciate y'all picking me up while I was down. What's going on, man? How you been? It's been a long time since we've done a show, I feel like.
Yeah, always miss doing the shows with you in the beginning of the season, so it's good to get back on talking here with you. But how was the surgery? Everything going good over there?
Yeah, everything's going good. Just some little minor hernia surgery that got taken care of, so I'm back feeling good. You lay around for a couple days, your back starts messing up, which had nothing to do with the surgery, but we're back better than ever. Been playing some DFS, obviously, over the last week. But let's say hello to some people in the chat. We got Marquee Sports in here, Parabay, Coach Sav, Philly fan, Parabay's back, Juice Boy. I want to talk about Coach Sav for a minute. Coach Sav was killing it the other night in the NBA DFS streets. Congrats on your night the other night. That was a heck of a team that you had the other night. Colin, welcome to the show. We got 5 games to break down tonight. It's an interesting slate for me, Rio, because you got 2 what I would call good real-life games. You got 3 absolutely duds with tanking teams, people being out, what have you, but I'm looking forward to it. We'll get right into it. Before we get going, make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to give you a lot of breakdown, especially from my guy Rio. Nobody better in the NBA streets on that. We bring these shows to you live 5 days a week. So, Rio, what do you say we get right into the first game? And it's one of those games I alluded to earlier. It's going to be a preview of the NBA East Finals, maybe. Got the Cavaliers, new-look Cavs with James Harden, who's got the thumb. He's questionable, taking on these Pistons. We were talking a little pre-show. Cade Cunningham moving up the MVP charts. Shea would have something to say with that. He's back tonight. We'll talk about him here in a little bit. But still no Spida tonight and taking on these Pistons. Mitchell's out, correct, Rio?
Yep, he's out tonight.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought he was out. But talk to me a little bit about this game. You got the Cavs with Harden as questionable taking on this Pistons team. One other thing, too, before I pass it over to you. Jalen Duren, man, he's been a beast. I saw them play the Spurs the other night. I know they got beat, but, man, he's a man amongst boys, been killing it. Talk to me a little bit about this game, Cavs at the Pistons.
Yeah, I agree with you on Duren. Absolute specimen of a human being, just extremely athletic and really kind of bringing back the old school style of center play. I feel like not a stretch big, just a beast on the rebounds. Great offensive rebounder, really good scoring around the basket. So a big fan of Jalen Duren. I think the upside is really big for the Pistons. Obviously, I think they have title aspirations this season, but a couple of years on the line, they could be one of the best teams. I mean, they kind of already are one of the best teams in the NBA, but they could really be really solid. So definitely high in Detroit basketball right now. But yeah, they're coming off a big win, bounce back win against the shorthanded OKC team. OKC hung around for most of the game. Massive night for Jalen Williams, not J-Dub. But yeah, they'll be facing another shorthanded Cavs team. No Donovan Mitchell, no Dean Wade tonight. Harden and Keon Ellis are both questionable. Kind of expecting Harden to miss this game based off the comments from Coach Atkinson. He basically said that they would be covered if he were to miss any time. He viewed Dennis Schroeder as a starting point guard in the NBA. So he also had a big rap on his hand the last game. I just feel like there's a good chance that he misses. I saw some Twitter doctor saying this was kind of like a 6 to 7 game injury. And I had to pause right there because you just caught me pre-show talking about the 6-7 shit. But yeah, it's like a 6-game injury normally. He said he was going to play through it, but this is only like a couple of days removed from the reporting. So I have a feeling that he's going to miss tonight. But the defense, honestly, it'll get better with Harden off the court. We know that he's not that great of a defender. Dennis Schroeder is a pretty good defender, but they kind of can offset that a little bit because Dean Wade is going to be out, and I was expecting Dean Wade to be on Cade Cunningham, so it's a better matchup for Cade. He's just going to have such a big size advantage over whoever else is going to be guarding him. And then for Detroit on defense, they continue to be one of the best teams in the NBA, elite rim protection, elite rebounding, but they're still a pretty big three-point funnel. So I think some of these off-ball scoring options for the Cavs will definitely be in play here. And I have a ladder bet for you and some of the viewers tonight as well. But yeah, so my interest in the Cavs is largely dependent on the availability of James Harden. Should get a really big role coming from Dennis Schroeder if he's out again, although it's a much tougher matchup against Asar Thompson. But the role should be big enough where the matchup shouldn't matter as much. He had 7.5 minutes of touch time last game, 8 potential assists, scored 26 points in 35 minutes. So a really, really big role coming for him. He'd be one of the top value plays on the slate if Harden does miss this game despite the tough matchup. Don't really think I have too much interest in the bigs tonight. Expect Evan Mobley to still be on a soft minutes restriction. I would imagine he gets closer to 30 now. And the role should be really good for him. I think that from a per minute standpoint, he'll look really good, but the upside is a little bit capped because the minutes are capped as well. And then this is just not the spot for Jared Allen. He's been pretty much held in check against a guy like Jalen Duren. So I'd take the underweight stance on both the bigs. But then the guys I would look to on the Cavs outside of whoever's starting at point guard would be Jalen Tyson. I think he's going to play a ton of minutes here. Might get some of the Cade assignment as well. So he should be playing a lot of minutes for that matchup, but his role bounced back in a pretty big way over his last 2 games. He was kind of being de-emphasized and out of the rotation, in large part due to James Harden coming to the team and just kind of getting him acclimated. But he played 31 minutes in his last 2 games, scored 13 points per game, 9 rebounds. So filling up the stat sheet a little bit. He's gotten ice cold from shooting, shot like 10% or 20% over his last couple of games, but he is a season-long 47% three-point shooter. So there's a good amount of upside for him. And the same could be said for Sam Merrill. He's a guy that I think you could look at for overs in the betting market and the ladders market because he's a really, really good shooter, and all of his shots are going to come from beyond the arc. So I do think that this is a good spot for him against a team like Detroit where they're going to be leaving some of those guys open a little bit. So I think Merrill and Tyson, really solid scoring upside. And then if Harden were to miss and it's Craig Porter Jr. that's backing up Dennis Schroeder, I would have interest in him because there is a lot of foul trouble that comes for Dennis Schroeder guarding Cade Cunningham. And also Schroeder was questionable coming into today, got upgraded throughout the day. So he's got an ankle injury, which could get re-aggravated at any time. So I think you do get a little bit of leverage there if he does get into foul trouble or if he gets re-injured mid-game. And we've seen Craig Porter Jr. have some really, really big upside at times when he's filling in for some of these guards. As for the Detroit side of things, definitely think you can make a case for Cade and Duren, but these prices are really, really high up there. It's going to be a much better spot for Cade with no Dean Wade, but he's 11K now. The defensive rating does drop in a pretty big way when you take Dean Wade off the court, and their pick and roll defense is going to get much worse. They drop from 111 defensive rating to 115 with Wade off the court. So I think that the individual matchup is pretty solid for Cade. It's just a matter of whether or not he can hit a ceiling at 11K, one that we'd really need on this type of slate where the mid-tier might look a little bit better. So I'm okay with him. Not in love with him as a play by any means, but I think he's fine. Same thing for Jalen Duren. He's done really bad against Jared Allen. I think that Allen matched up with him really well. Just a kind of like an offsetting talent between those two guys. But he's failed to top 41.5 DK points in his career matchups against Jared Allen, and he's held him to just under 31 DK points per game. The upside for Duren is that Cleveland is a below-average rebounding team, so we've just seen him put up huge games recently. So I think that there's a path for upside for him, but don't really see it tonight. And then the same thing for Asar. Cleveland's a pretty good turnover team. They don't really commit a ton of turnovers. They're really decent in transition. So I think those are 2 spots where you'd really want to get a big game out of Asar. And I just don't know if this is the one for him, but maybe there's a little bit more usage going his way if Cade does get shut down.
Yeah, excellent breakdown there. I didn't want to do it, but I feel like I'm obligated to do it because someone brought it up in the chat this morning in our Discord, which I thought was pretty funny. And I know he's questionable, but what about my boy, Keon Ellis? Any love for Mr. Ellis tonight at 3,900? Should he get in coming off a 28-minute performance last game? You didn't mention him, so I'm assuming you don't have any love for him, especially if James Harden were to miss.
No, I would definitely consider him, but he's also dealing with a fractured finger as well. So
yep.
That's kind of that's an off-ball shooting hand. So it's same thing. He should be fine if he does play. It's just a injury injured, like the pain tolerance things. I think he should be fine if he does play, but
He,
probably look into the other guys that I mentioned.
He might actually shoot it better if it was on a shooting hand, because that guy absolutely stinks, man. I can't stand that guy. But are there any rules that you would, or groups that you would set if Harden were to miss?
I would probably just be max one of CPJ, Craig Porter Jr., and Dennis Schroeder. And that's probably it. And then like max one, you're not really considering Thomas Bryant or like Proctor, Nance, or anything. So that's probably the only one I would set. I don't think you'd want more than like 3 Cavs, I think. But I would expect the minutes to be pretty condensed between Tyson, Merrill, Schroeder, Mobley, and Allen.
And then would you play Cade and Duran on the same team, or is it a max one of them?
It's never a max one because they are negatively correlated. It's just more so if you don't want to eat up that much salary on the same team, I wouldn't really be going on my way to make that rule, because if anything, they correlate more positively than anything.
Nice. All right. Excellent stuff there. Appreciate the questions. We're going to move on to the next game, and I can promise you one thing. This next game will not be a preview of the East Finals. It is the tanking Nets taking on the Celtics. You talked about CPJ. Now we talked about MPJ. Costed my boy in the chat $650 last night, he said, but we march on. This game is slated to be a blowout. The Nets are not interested in winning any more basketball games. I don't think they would win anyway in this one, though. I love these Celtics tonight. D. White, JB, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench was balling. I think it was the other night against the Lakers, maybe it's Sunday night, or whatever it was. He was hooping. But talk to me about this game. It's never the Nets for me. Always the Celtics in this matchup. But talk to me, Nets at Boston.
I might need to stall for a little bit because I got my dogs in the room right now and they're kind of barking, but hopefully they'll keep it down while I break this game down. But I agree with you. I don't really think there's too much to talk about on the Nets side. It's been pretty short and sweet and just very simple breaking down the Nets this season. You just max one. If you get 0, you're fine with that. More often than not, they're not going to end up on winning rosters. There is a hole defensively for the Celtic or on the Celtics that you can attack. Don't really know if Brooklyn's a team that could crack it, but Boston is bottom 2 in defensive 3-point frequency this season. They just take away all rim scoring and they will let up some easier threes. Brooklyn is top 5 in offensive 3-point frequency. The guys that stand out there as their main 3-point shooters would be Yegor Demon, Noah Clowney, Michael Porter Jr. And then if you want to get like really gross and just hope you run into a more minutes and like a hot shooting night from one of these guys, Ochai Agbaji is basically just shooting threes. And there's been times where they'll not play guys like Terrence Mann and some of these other players that just aren't really good. So there's a chance that he could see more minutes. They play 28 against Cleveland, so there's a chance that you run into it. Even then, though, if you do get the minutes right, you still need to get the outcome right, and feels like a very small percentage chance that happens. So I'm max 1 of Brooklyn stuff, fine with 0. I think that if I was playing a Jaylen Brown type tonight, which obviously I think the matchup's great, he's shown a pretty wide range of outcomes in this matchup in particular, though. He went as low as 40 DK points and then as high as 65 against them. The 65 came in a double overtime game, so that was like the 99th percentile outcome for Brooklyn, really. I think he more often than not will land somewhere in like the mid to upper 40s. But there's a good chance that the minutes get cut down here with Boston being favored by nearly 20 points. I don't really want to go crazy correlating a guy like Jaylen Brown, but to me it does make a little bit sense. Like if you're getting a true ceiling game from him at 9.8K, which would need to be in like the 55 to 60 point range, unlikely he does that in like 28 minutes. I would imagine it comes in a close game. So I think it makes a little bit of sense to pair him with a MPJ, Clowney, or Claxton. Those are like the 3 main guys I think would be able to keep the game close and play deeper if the game does get close throughout. But yeah, I don't really think I'm going to be going to Jaylen Brown tonight. He's getting some ownership, probably just a roster construction standpoint, but I'm probably going to be looking elsewhere. Brooklyn is bottom 3 in turnover percentage this season, so that's pretty good for Derek White as a high upside option at 8.2K, shown it a couple times this season. If he has a few stocks to his stat line, he's a guy that could pay off in less minutes. They paid Pritchard. The way that his rotation lines up, there's a chance that he plays deeper into blowout because he checks in about halfway through the first and the third quarter. So he should get like the first 6 minutes of the fourth regardless. And then if it's like a really big blowout, they might give him like an extra 2 or 3 minutes. And then Neemias Queta, think I'll sprinkle in some of him because it's just such a good matchup with how bad the rim protection and rebounding is for the Nets this season.
What's up with my boy Nikola Vucevic, man? That guy's $6,300. He's $5,000 on FanDuel. They traded for my boy, and they don't play him. I guess they think this Keita kid is just like the second coming. But what's been his issue with Vucevic since he's gotten over to Boston?
I don't think there's really an issue. I don't think they were expecting him to come in and like take over the starting center spot. I think it was just a depth thing, and they didn't really view Simons as like a winning piece right now. So it made sense because they were pretty thin in the front court behind Keita, and he's not really somebody that is extremely reliable. So I feel like come playoff time, a guy like Vuk could pop off in some of those games.
All right, I hope you're right. I like him, but what are they saying on Jason Tatum? I think he's close, but are they saying he's going to be back for the playoffs?
He could be back as soon as next week.
Man, that's insane. You better watch out for those C's if he does get back. In any event, moving on to the next game. Could be a decent game. My boy Newens was in here earlier. No Greek freak, but we got the Knicks. We got the cover boy, Cat, Carl, Anthony Towns going into the Bucks. These Bucks, they're always fun. I feel like they're always in shootouts with KPJ and Ryan Rollins hooping in there. Kyle Kuzma's been balling a little bit. Portis off the bench. This game, not really a good game per se, but I think it has some DFS, some goodness in there. Rio, talk to me a little bit about this game. You got the Knicks at the Bucks. We need to
Sorry,
talk.
could you repeat the things you said in the last 10 seconds? I had to close my door.
No, all good. I was just talking. I was talking about how KPJ and Ryan Rollins always seem to be balling out in the DFS streets. The Bucks always seem to be playing these high scoring affairs. I think this game is probably going to be a little bit better than maybe the spread of 8.5 indicates. But any love for the cover boy Cat? Any love for JB, Jalen Brunson, or any of these Bucks that I just alluded to?
Yeah, I almost always have interest in KPJ and Rollins just because a lot of times we're getting a good enough score from these guys where they can be viable in single entry stuff. And I think even more so tonight where it's a smaller slate, that there's a better chance for them to be optimal. But yeah, I agree. The Bucks have been involved in some really fun games as of late. They've actually won 8 of their last 10. So making a push for the playoffs. And it sounds like Giannis will be back tonight, which definitely makes them a contender anytime that he's available. But their defense still has not been that great. They're a big three-point funnel. They've kind of been better rebounding the ball, and I think a lot of that is due to Miles Turner playing a lot less because that guy just absolutely stinks. And the Knicks, like, I don't really know if they deserve to be favored by 8.5. I get it. Like, the Milwaukee's not super scary, but the Knicks, they don't look great right now either. I mean, they're coming off a really embarrassing loss to Cleveland. I get it. Cleveland looks really good right now, but, I mean, it's just kind of all over the place for them defensively. Cat is down so bad right now. He attempted just 5 field goals last game, committed as many turnovers in that game, 5 turnovers, just awful role for him this season. And I honestly think that he's at risk of losing minutes at any moment with Mitchell Robinson active. Mitch Rob just is a better fit right now because it's hard when your 2 best players are so bad defensively that it's one of them, like something's got to give, and I don't think you're benching Brunson. So I do think that Cat, his minutes are very, very risky here. Don't really have a lot of confidence in him, but I am quite enticed by the matchup and hypothetical upside that he has at 8.5K because it is a good spot for him if he can get up some 3-point attempts. He's been rebounding the ball pretty well, but I just think that Mitch Rob is playing too good to keep him off the court right now. But Brunson should see a good bit of Ryan Rollins here. He's done well against him in their head-to-head matchup, averaging 27.3 points per 75. Been cruising this season, averaging 36.5 points per game against him, just under 49 DK points. So he's definitely viable at 9K. Don't really have anything negative to say about him. I think there is a good bit of upside for some of these secondary options. Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges, with the Bucks being below average in transition, at least in terms of points per possession. They do give up a lot of transition frequency, so teams are able to get out and run against them. They're 25th defensively, points per possession-wise in transition, so sets up pretty well for both Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. And then the Bucks are also bottom 4 in defensive 3-point frequency. So guys like Landry Shamet, Jose Alvarado, and then to a lesser extent, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges are all set up pretty well there. I think Alvarado and Shamet are pretty interesting at their price tags. Alvarado in particular, just because he's such a high-energy guy and can fill up the stat sheet pretty quickly. We saw him against Philly go 8 for 13 from deep. So a pretty good spot for Alvarado and Shamet in particular. On the Bucks side of things, really just going to be KPJ and Ryan Rollins for me. KBJ's just had an absurd role since returning from the injury 8 games ago, basically the beginning of the month. He has a 46% involvement percentage, 44% on-ball role. Points per game are up from 16.8 to 22.4. Assist and potential assist are both up as well. His three-point percentage has been way down, but he did bounce back in a pretty big way. His last 3 games going 43% from deep. Although I think it might have been on limited volume. He's just not taking a ton of the threes right now, but good to see him bounce back there, shooting the ball. Going to be Mikal Bridges on him tonight, I would imagine, and I really like that matchup because Mikal is just not the same defender that he was when he was with Phoenix. So I think that's a pretty good spot to attack with Kevin Porter Jr. And the same thing for Ryan Rollins. If they do put Brunson on Rollins, which I don't know if that's the route that they would go, then I think it's a really good spot to be over on Ryan Rollins and maybe flip the exposure. If you're going to be like, I don't know what KPJ comes in at, I imagine in like the 20s. We have him, just want to check real quick. Yeah, like 18%, Rollins at 10%. I'd be fine getting over on Rollins, and I'd be fine getting over in KPJ too, but I do think that it's a pretty solid spot for Ryan Rollins in particular. So I want to get some there. That's probably it, though. I don't think we're getting enough from the secondary Milwaukee guys. Fine keeping Kuzma in the pool because there are random times where he can have a good game. Same thing for Bobby Portis, but Cam Thomas minutes are really bad with how well KPJ and Ryan Rollins are playing right now. I just don't think that they need him.
The Knicks killer, Miles Turner as well from his Pacer days. Yeah, Cat, I saw something yesterday, Rio, with Cat, I guess, and Mike Brown not seeing eye to eye or whatever. But, yeah, Cat's been struggling this year. Kevin Porter Jr. was wild for me to see, $9,600 on FanDuel, which is out of this world in my opinion. And Axtron, yeah, apologies if I was saying that he is not in today, and you're just confirming that. Yeah, Gian is still out with the calf. Appreciate you putting that in there. Max 1 of Cat and Mitch Rob for me, I would say yes. I don't know about you, Hebrewcheetah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. All right, moving on to the next game. If you haven't done so already, got 250 in here watching. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe for us. We've broken down the first 3 games. Going to do the last 2 for tonight, and this one is going to be a gross game. Got the Grizzlies, got my boy Ty Jerome. He is questionable, not likely to play. Grizzlies rolling out their G League roster tonight. Mavericks, no Cooper Flag. I saw come across Najee Marshall coming off. What's he coming off? Like 40 real life point game, something crazy like that. Let me look real quick.
He had like 36 and 10.
36 and 10 in 42 minutes. So he had the game of his season last time out. But yeah, everybody, I feel like pretty much everybody on this Grizzlies team that's anybody's not playing. Ty Jerome, Ja Morant, PJ Washington, I know he's a map, but he's doubtful as well. Your boy, the bag man, Marvin Bagley out, Santi Aldama out. So talk to me about this game. Is there anybody left to play on the Grizzlies? Anybody left to play on the Mavs?
Yeah, I mean, this is where the value comes from tonight, and rightfully so. Both teams are fairly thin. The thing that does worry me with the Mavericks in particular is that they played their guys so many minutes last night. Like Chris Middleton played 33 minutes. Najee played over 40. And now these guys are getting a ton of ownership. Mainly Najee's going to be like 60% owned, maybe even like 80% owned in some single entry stuff. I guess I'll just start there because I do feel like taking an underweight stance on the old guys with this being back-to-back makes a ton of sense here. So like Najee Marshall, going to be really good from a role standpoint for the minutes that he's on the court. These teams are tied in the standings right now in the tank-off. So a loss would go a pretty big way for both of them if they are looking to move up in the lottery standings. It's basically just them two. So whoever, I guess not a ton really changes if they are the 7 and 8 teams in the tanking. But I just feel like I want to get away from the ownership on the older guys like Najee, even like Gafford coming in with a ton of ownership. He might be a little bit tougher to get away from because he's so cheap and it's such a good matchup. Been mentioning a lot with Memphis that they're just so thin in the front court. Although they did sign your boy Taj Gibson, 40-year-old
really
Taj
Gibson. What's Chris Middleton? You couldn't pay me to play like Chris Middleton. This dude's so fragile. He played 12 minutes, got injured the game before, 33. You're telling me on the second night of a back-to-back, Chris Middleton, Hebrewcheetah, the worst play on the slate tonight, hands down. Oh my gosh, that's if 40% of people are playing him on FanDuel, you got a 60% leg up. Worst play on the slate, Hebrew.
I could definitely get behind that. Like, I'm not excited about that. There's also a lot of talk about him in the buyout market too, because I think he's a guy that still can contribute to some teams that are, playing in the playoffs pretty soon. But it's just a matter of not whether he wants to stay in Dallas and potentially play there next year or not. I just don't really know what the plan is for him. But yeah, I agree. I mean, back to back, he was questionable yesterday, barely played the night before, and now he's on a back to back and projected to get a lot of ownership. I'm
Worst
with
play.
you there. Yeah, and I honestly feel that maybe not as much about Najee because they've been more willing to play him a lot of minutes, but he played a ton last night. So for me, the guys that I'm prioritizing on the Dallas side of things, Brandon Williams for sure is my top play, 5.5K. Normally been pretty off of him, but I just feel like this is a spot where he'll get a longer leash here. Another guy, Max Christie, 4.8K, I would be looking to because I think that he'll get a longer leash with no Klay Thompson. And then AJ Johnson at 3K is the other guy that I'm looking at here. I'm probably going to have a lot of those three guys and much less of the Najee, Middleton, and then Gafford. Like, I'll probably end up with a ton just because he's so cheap. And even if he only plays 20 minutes, I think that he could pay off his price tag. But Dwight Powell will back him up, so you can max one of those two guys. And I think Powell deserves to get some ownership as well because he's going to play 18 to 20 minutes in a good matchup. So for the Memphis stuff, getting Taj Gibson out there will at least help their front court depth because they've been running out a bunch of guys that are probably more like small forward, power forwards than they are centers with like Taylor Hendricks and Omax Prosper, those types of guys. But it's been very easy to get away from Memphis as of late just because nobody's really running away with minutes, and they've been on some bigger slates, so it's been kind of easy to get away from ownership. I think here it's a little bit tougher, mainly away from Javon Small. I think that he's probably the best value play on the slate. Him and Brandon Williams are 1 and 2 for me at 4.7K. He's actually been playing really well, and I think that he's a guy that's got at least some talent in the NBA. So I'm looking at him. I think he's going to start. He could play 27, 28 minutes. I think he's pretty solid there. And then Scottie Pippen Jr., we know that he's a good per minute producer. He's had a really solid role with Jerome out this season. So I definitely think that he's pretty solid at 5.2K. But those are two guys I'm mainly prioritizing. And then after that, I think you have to look at Gigi Jackson just because he's doing so much on offense when he's out there, but the minutes are capped, and he's 6K, so he's not cheap. Omax Prosper, I guess. I don't know. He's a guy that's kind of running out of two-way days pretty quickly, so they might have to sit him tonight with the addition of Taj Gibson. And then Taylor Hendricks at 4.2K with small forward, power forward eligibility. Pretty solid. A little bit of positive coach speak from the Memphis coach about him wanting to get more involved in offense. And then as gross as it is, I think Ryan Rupert is probably my third favorite option at 3.7K. Mainly been a very, very low per minute guy, but I think you have to take that with a little bit of grain of salt because you look at who he was playing with a lot of time with the Blazers. They had a lot of high usage guys when he was playing there. It's kind of just delegates to sitting in the corner. But with Memphis, they're very thin on talent and just guys that they can actually play. So I think that he's okay. He's the cheapest option as well with the shooting guard, small forward eligibility. So I'm fine getting to Rupert as a last man in, or if I just need a cheap small forward.
I've heard it all now, Hebrewcheetah. It's February 27th, and we're talking Ryan Rupert on a DFS basketball show. You didn't mention Walter Clayton. Someone in the chat had mentioned Walter Clayton, so I'm assuming you don't have any love for Walter Clayton.
Not really.
Yeah.
But I'll talk through some groups on the Dallas side because I know that people like that. I guess I do Memphis. That one's going to be more on the fly because I didn't write anything down. But for Dallas, obviously.
Sorry, go ahead.
What is it?
Pippen and Small together.
Yeah. I'll go through the
Okay.
Memphis stuff when we get there. For Dallas, it is max 1 of Gafford and Dwight Powell, max 2 of Najee, Brandon Williams, Tyus Jones, and AJ Johnson. They do list Najee as small forward, but he's more of like a point guard for them. And then I already said that AJ Johnson and Brandon Williams are my favorites there. And then I'll be max 2 of Christie, Middleton, Caleb Martin, and Miles Kelly. Memphis, it's going to be a max 2 of Pippen, Small, Clayton, and Spencer. I think it would be max 1 of Gigi, Prosper, and Hendricks, and then a max 1 of Wells, Meshack, and Rupert. I don't know if Meshack even plays, but definitely max 1 Rupert and Wells at the very least.
Awesome. Excellent stuff there. I looked at halftime last night of the Kings and I think Mavs, and Precious had 20, 25 points at half or whatever it was. He ended up with only 28, but he was crushing for sure.
Saber is too sharp at that stuff because I was just kind of going to last night. I felt great about my lineup. I had everything set up with where I wanted. I had a low-ish owned Najee Marshall with just a ton of points. But Saber was having me swap off Bagley for Precious, and that was basically what would have won me the live final seed had I done that. But that's kind of just game theory DFS 101. It was like a 3-point projection between those two guys, same price tag, same positional eligibility, but Precious was 10% versus Bagley's 80%. It's just easy decision to make there. Just kind of kicking myself for not doing that.
Saber knows, man. I don't know how they do it, but they're darn good. That's for darn sure. Moving on to the last game on the slate. It's going to be a good one. I find myself rooting against the Thunder every time they play Hebrewcheetah, and I find myself rooting for the Nuggets with Jamal Murray. Love him. Love Julian Strother. Love the Joker. Love Timmy Hardaway Jr. and his pops, Bruce Brown. But talk to me about this game. It shouldn't be a good one if you're in Vegas. The 8-point spread. Shea is back tonight, as we alluded to. Some of these, what I would call role players, have been balling for this Thunder team. They beat the Cavs last Sunday, but I'm looking forward to sitting down, watching this game. Talk to me through it. Joker and the Nuggets versus the Thunder.
Yeah, all my homies hate OKC, so I had to get that off my chest. But Shea's gonna be making his return tonight, looking to hold their first place standing in the West, and then making a push for MVP. Was surprised a little bit to see plus money on Shea. I feel like he's the clear favorite now. Was kind of touting Cade earlier this week as MVP guy. I thought that Shea could miss more games, but now Cade's all the way up to 1,100, depending where you look. I have to use these shitty offshore odds in California, but definitely would.
You call the bookie to get those odds?
Yeah, my buddy is my bookie, and they use these off-brand Russian sites. So it's fine if you fight nights, throwing down some parlays with your boys is always a good time, but it's not really something that makes me money. But yeah, definitely think it's interesting to see Shea plus money because he's the clear favorite now. But yeah, Jamal Murray is questionable. Checked out early last game with an illness. Expecting to be back tonight. He's a gamer. He always plays through stuff, so I'm expecting him back. Definitely excited about this game like you are. Nuggets are still contenders, but the numbers and I was listening to a ton of kind of pre-playoffs podcasts this past week. There's a lot working against them just based off of historical data, teams that are actually contenders, because you have to be basically top 10 in defense and offense and have a certain net rating, and they just kind of don't right now. Their defense has been a huge issue this season and really a big issue since Jokic returned. There's a lot of talk about him kind of returning for, to be eligible for awards. Maybe he came back too early and he looked pretty rusty when he first came back, but did come off a couple big games lately. So I think that he's probably healthy now. But obviously this is a game that's really important just for morale of these teams. I think both teams really want to get the win. So I'm fine getting to Jokic. Obviously, OKC, the best defense in the league. And they'll have all their guys back, mainly the guys that will be defending Jokic, Shea, or Chet and Hartenstein will be back. He's done fine against them. Jokic is clearly matchup proof, but he should really have a big usage rate if Murray does miss. But I do expect him to play against Chet. He is averaging 30.6 points per 75 on 72% true shooting. So that's against Hartenstein. A little bit less against Chet, 22.2 points per 75, 11.5 assists per 75 against Chet. So numbers all in line with what you'd expect from Jokic. I have no issues getting there. I actually think that he's probably a guy I would want to prioritize in single entry subs because I want to take my floor from him and not really mess around. Just play the value pieces around him is how I'm looking at tonight's slate. Don't think I'm looking to Jamal Murray, even if he's in. Awful matchup against Lou Dort and Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso. They just have all the guys that they need to shut him down. I am a little bit more into the off-ball scoring guys. So Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, and Julian Strother to a lesser degree, Tim Hardaway Jr. I think all those guys should be in play at the very least for Showdown. I think these are guys that you should consider. Cam Johnson's been pretty bad for the Nuggets this season as what they traded for to get him. I honestly feel like they should have just kept MPJ. I think he'd be huge for them right now, but he's not shooting great, just 32% from deep over his last 5. But on the season, he's a 44% three-point shooter. So that should regress positively in his direction. I do think that he's got pretty solid scoring upside here. So I'm a little bit into Cam Johnson. Christian Brown, he kind of gets there more in teams against weak transition where he can get easy buckets at the rim, but he can put up some points at the three-point line at times and should be playing a lot of minutes here. I think they'll need his defense. And then Sam Hardaway Jr., I think, is just kind of like a flamethrower off the bench. He can get really hot. It might not even be enough on the slate at 4.6K, even if he does have a good night, but would definitely keep an eye on him for showdown. For OKC, pretty short for me. I don't really think I want to go to Shea here. He's coming back off a multi-week absence. I'd imagine he's pretty limited coming back, like maybe in the low 30s. Maybe that's enough to get there, but I just don't think so. Denver's defense has been really bad. I don't really think they have anybody that can slow him down. So I think efficiency-wise, he should be fine. He's been practicing for a little bit. So maybe he's full, but I highly doubt it. So I don't think I'll be going much there. Definitely not into Chet with Shea back. I think the upside is capped. I think Hartenstein is in play at 6.4K. They might want to ask some more out of him, especially after how much Jalen Williams just played against Detroit. So maybe he gets closer to 30 here, which would make him a solid option at 6.4K. And then Lou Dort, always better shooter at home. Never a guy I'm considering. Caruso's 3.9K, so that's cheap enough to consider, but don't love it by any means.
Yeah, they just play so many dudes. It's tough to get to. McCain, he's been balling, but, man, you can't play him even at that price, in my opinion, with Shea coming back and some of these other guys. Excellent stuff for those 5 games. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you have already done so. Hebrew, one question I had, if you were going to just overstack a game, maybe like a 4-2, 4-3, 5-2, something like that, do you have one that you like more than any of the others?
I don't know if I would do that many people on a on a slate this size, but maybe like 2-2 or 3-2 is something I could get behind. I would probably say the Knicks and Milwaukee, but it would probably be the Memphis-Dallas game, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it has the best total on the slate and the closest spread, I believe. Yeah, closest spread.
Okay.
And it's cheap to get into. So, that'd probably be the one.
All right. Well, good stuff there. We appreciate all 325 of you tuning in. It was a great show today. Rio, I can't let you get out of here, man. We got to get a bet for the people. We've been not struggling. We haven't really given any out, but give me a bet for the people that we can all bet tonight. Break Vegas, shut them down.
All right, let me look at something real quick. I want to see. I mean, I have one in mind.
Who's the highest owned power forward today?
Middleton, I think.
No, don't say that. He should be 0%. If anyone's listening to this show and plays Chris Middleton, I can't help you. Can't help you anymore because that guy's pathetic.
Saber has him at 2%. That can't be right. It's going to be higher. They're showing Caleb Martin right now.
Yeah, but 25, I think.
Yeah. Hendricks probably gets up there too just because he's cheap. Yeah, I don't know. You can – power forward is really gross tonight.
All right.
Cam Johnson, I'd go there. Cam Johnson, I'd probably play him at power forward.
Oh, Cam Johnson, that guy's not been very good either.
Good matchup for him, though. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'd take Sam Merrill or Jalen Tyson's 3-point lines tonight, and you could ladder up Sam Merrill to like 8.
Sam Merrill. All right, I got a big hospital bill I got to pay off, so I'm counting on Rio. I'm moving into his new house if it doesn't hit. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. We'll be back all weekend long. We got your NBA content covered with the video tomorrow.
2.5, easy money.
2.5, easy money. We're talking about Mr. Merrill, correct?
Yep.
The flamethrower. Does it matter, James Harden in or out?
No.
Nope, doesn't matter. All right. Appreciate you tuning in. We got you covered all weekend. My man Rio will be back on Tuesday, I believe. I think it's Title and Matt on Monday. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Hope to see you over here at the Nation. For my man Rio, I'm Ham. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. Just ship it.